Friday, it's the ITV News at 10.
A Thanksgiving service in honour of the Queen and the 70 years she has spent serving her country. The royal family, including Harry and Meghan, celebrated her reign at St Paul's while the Queen rested at Windsor.
We are sorry that you're not here with us this morning, but we are so glad that you are still in the saddle.
And the palace has announced the Queen will also not be attending the Epsom Derby tomorrow. Also tonight, raising a glass to Her Majesty at Jubilee parties up and down the country.
He's done so many good things for Britain and the Commonwealth.
70 years is something to be proud of.
And tonight's other main news, an apology from UEFA to Liverpool fans for those shocking scenes at the Champions League final.
This is ITV News with Geraint Vincent.
Good evening. The Queen wasn't there, but the nation still paid formal tribute to her today at a special service of Thanksgiving at St Pauls Cathedral after what she said was a very tiring first day of Jubilee celebrations. Yesterday, Her Majesty was resting and watching from Windsor. But the princes, Charles, William and Harry, united to lead a roll call of the great and the good at the service, as well as many deserving members of the public. Our royal editor, Chris Shipp, reports.
The Queen may not have been at St Paul's for her own Thanksgiving today, but there were so many members of her family who wanted to come. A number of them, Zara and Mike Tyndall included, had to be bussed in. But it was the arrival of the Sussexes which was getting particular attention. Harry and Meghan making their first public appearance together since leaving the royal family 2 years ago. A cheer went up, but there were also some isolated boos. But this was all about the Queen, who once again was being represented by her son Prince Charles, who is increasingly getting the last-minute request to stand in. Brothers William and Harry were in the same building, but the seating arrangements kept them apart. The Archbishop of York, himself standing in for the Archbishop of Canterbury, who has COVID, spoke about the absent Queen, but that she would be watching.
We all know that the Queen likes horse racing. And Your Majesty, I'm rather assuming perhaps you're watching this on the television. Let me observe that your long reign reflects the distance of Aintree rather than the sprint of Epsom. We are sorry that you're not here with us this morning, but we are so glad that you are still in the saddle. And we are glad that there is still more to come.
A new anthem was written for this service. Its composer had hoped the Queen would hear it in person.
I was not necessarily expecting the Queen to be there. I feel very strongly she should look after herself.
So what of the words she wrote for the anthem?
My words, chosen from the Bible, underline the importance of wisdom, of gaining understanding, and I think these are qualities that many people would ascribe to the Queen.
And it was a service to reflect how the country has changed over the Queen's 70-year reign.
I think it's to show how diverse the UK is in general and how young people are, so important, and we are, the next voice, the future voice.
For a Queen with such a deep faith, missing out on St Paul's was a disappointing, if necessary, decision. But she was watching. She was looking not just at the service, but at the future of the monarchy.
And the transition from the Queen to her son in her platinum year, that is now very much underway.
So, Chris, the Queen was missing today and won't now be making an appearance tomorrow.
Yeah, Geraint, we heard the Archbishop of York talk there about the Queen's love of horse racing. Well, despite her love of the sport, she will not be going to the Epsom Derby as was planned tomorrow. Look, I don't think we should be massively surprised if she cancelled the Thanksgiving service attendance today. I don't think we should be surprised at all that she's not going to the Epsom Derby tomorrow. We are told she will watch it on television on ITV Racing, so she will still be enjoying it. It is Princess Anne who will represent the Queen there. And talking of Princess Anne, she was in Scotland today. The Queen has dispatched various members of the royal family around the four corners of the United Kingdom. William and Kate are in Wales tomorrow. The Wessexes, Edward and Sophie, are in Northern Ireland. But we're only at the halfway point, Geraint. This is day 2 of the 4-day weekend, so 50% there, you might say.
And tell us what's happening behind you, Chris. It looks colourful.
It really does, you know, and I've just been inside there. I can't share too much with you, but there's a lot that you can see from here. The palace looks absolutely phenomenal. The Mall here is a beautiful atmosphere. There are people wandering around. We can hear the music. We can hear the preparations going on for the party. So there's still a lot to come, and I think there's a great deal of anticipation about what's going to happen here tomorrow night. They are expecting some phenomenal numbers of crowds here, and as you can see, it's going to look pretty good.
Chris Shipp, many thanks. So a very warm welcome for the royals at St Paul's, but more of a mixed reception for the Prime Minister. Boris Johnson was loudly booed by the crowds outside when he arrived with his wife Carrie just a week after the Sue Gray report into parties at Downing Street during lockdown put him under more pressure. There were, though, some people clapping. On to other news, and after initially blaming them for the chaos at the Champions League final last week, UEFA has apologised to Liverpool and Real Madrid fans. Well, Vincent McAviney is here. Vincent, talk us through what they said.
Well, in a lengthy statement tonight, UEFA has said sorry for those shocking scenes of peaceful Liverpool fans, some with young children, being crushed and then pepper sprayed by police. At first, UEFA tried to blame the fans themselves. Then, after a backlash from the fans, players, journalists and officials in attendance, as well as the British government, they pivoted to claiming there had been industrial-level ticket fraud, and that was the problem. But now it seems they're admitting they got this badly wrong, saying UEFA wishes to sincerely apologise to all spectators who had to experience frightening or distressing events. Then they vowed that no football fan should be put in that situation and it must not happen again. They're promising to have an independent review of a timeline of what happened, what went wrong. They've also pledged that they'll put out an email address and people can send in their accounts. That's something that the Liverpool Football Club has already done. They put up a web page and they had over 5,000 posts in just 24 hours. And they've promised as well, UEFA, that that report will be published in full.
Many thanks, Vincent. In the United States, President Biden has called for a ban on the sale of assault weapons in an emotional address to the nation. He said too many places had become killing fields, insisting any changes in gun laws weren't about taking away people's rights, but protecting America's children. Our correspondent Robert Moore reports.
For 2 weeks now, the president has been America's mourner-in-chief, touring the scene of atrocities and looking into the eyes of America's lost children. Last night, walking past candles that each represent a state that has suffered a mass shooting, President Biden implored and begged Congress to act, saying the bereaved agreed on one point.
They had one message for all of us. Do something. Just do something. For God's sake, do something.
What the hell are you waiting for?
You are not going to bully your way into stripping Americans of fundamental rights.
Facing a Congress that is so deeply divided, he urged the country not to wait for the next massacre.
For God's sake, how much more carnage are we willing to accept? How many more innocent American lives must be taken before we say enough, enough? Enough. It's time for each of us to do our part. It's time to act. For the children we've lost, for the children we can save, for the nation we love. Let's hear the call and the cry. Let's meet the moment. Let us finally do something.
The White House wants a ban on the AR-15 style semi-automatics that are the weapons of choice for America's deranged mass shooters. or at a minimum to ensure a purchaser must be 21 years old and not 18. It may be common sense, but even in the immediate aftermath of these recent mass shootings, many Republicans will vehemently oppose any such reform. There is some talk here on Capitol Hill of minor adjustments to gun laws, but anything more radical, more significant, that would reduce this epidemic of gun violence, well, that still seems entirely out of reach. Robert Moore, ITV News, Washington.
Returning to the Queen's Jubilee, and up and down the country, the bunting, the baking and the flags signal that this is a very special weekend. In parks, gardens and streets, millions have celebrated the Queen's long reign. Amy Lewis reports.
You can see the Queen on the balcony and the Union Jack. I can see a lot of people.
In this miniature land, they are having a big Jubilee party, and they have thought of every detail. At the world's oldest model village, they are celebrating the world's oldest monarch. What do you think of the Queen?
She's like very old and she still dresses nicely and she's like a really good queen. And it's really good that she's stayed the Queen for that long and she's done so many good things for Britain and the Commonwealth.
They have recreated some of her happiest moments at a place where she made her own memories. As a child, the then Princess Elizabeth visited Beaconscott in Buckinghamshire 3 times. On the eve of her 8th birthday, she went with her grandmother, Queen Mary, and as you'd expect, the young royal was allowed to bend the rules.
It looks like she's having so much fun.
Yes, she is, and you could see it in the photographs. Her and her sister was here, Princess Margaret, and they went all over the place. And they went to places where the public aren't allowed to go. You know, we allowed them to pick up a plane or the boats. You know, how can you tell a monarch, put that down, get off the grass?
From tiny tea parties to the real thing.
Oh wait, can I have this blackberry then?
Communities have been celebrating all over the country. In Mansfield in Nottinghamshire, they have been flying the flag. At Didcot in Oxfordshire, they went one step further.
I think she's inspirational and she's an actual icon. 70 years is something to be proud of.
The Jubilee Bank Holiday is all about making memories and capturing them. Amy Lewis, ITV News.
And that is where we leave it tonight, at the end of the second day of Jubilee celebrations. Let's have another quick look at the Mall, which is right now still busy with people soaking up the atmosphere. And at Buckingham Palace, rehearsals and final preparations are being made for the Platinum Party at the Palace this time tomorrow. But for now, from all of us here, good night.